Hello and welcome to episode 8 of Mooncast. I've got a guest on today, which is nice. Russell Hunt from Newcastle. He's come on and chat about Moonstone. We have a great conversation. It's really good fun, actually. It's the first time I've interviewed someone, I suppose, in this kind of way for a podcast. Someone I didn't sort of know anyway. Obviously, I've spoken to Tom and Richie before, but it was really nice to speak to someone else. Someone different who's just a player. He has some really interesting things to say, lots of good things to say about the game. It was really nice just having a chat with him. I started off thinking it was going to be a kind of interview, as it were. I was going to ask questions and answer, but it turned into just a really nice chat. So I hope you enjoy it. And here we go. Russell on the phone. Russell is from Newcastle, and he's come to talk about Moonstone, obviously, which is great. So we're going to make this quite a sort of informal chat. I don't want to do formal interviews on this podcast. It's very much just relaxed atmosphere. So I'll start, Russell, if you don't mind, with what games did you play prior to Moonstone, or what else did you play alongside it?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I started like really young. I think like a lot of British kids do. When I was about 8, playing like, I'm not going to go through it all, but start with Games Workshop, 40k when I was younger, and then fantasy because I was always more interested in fantasy. And then after however many years in and out of hobby, as you do when you're younger, whenever money stumbles by, in my 20s when I went to university, that was a big change. That's when I got into privately pressed products. I kind of had a bit of a fallout with Games Workshop. I feel like it's like my angsty, like sort of gamer years was like, I'm gonna go play something different. So I got into privately pressed products. Played that for a long time. Played Trolls. Like all troll players and like all orc players in 40k, we never really spread wide. We just go deep into one faction. So to stereotype myself, I bought too much of it. But then over the last 3 years, I'd say is the biggest change, maybe a bit more. I got into like dribs and drabs of little smaller gaming companies. The last year has probably actually been the biggest. We started playing like Infinity, and then from Infinity we went on to like Malifaux, and then we kind of got back into Age of Sigmar just to kind of do something different. And then from there, I mean, in front of me now, I have Carnival, Bushido, Malifaux. I play a lot. I like little games, and I like little gaming companies as well. I think it's really interesting the sort of different products. Over the last 3 years as well, I got into kind of role-playing games like D&D. So I think I've kind of calmed down. I still play Privateer Press a bit more casually because I used to go to events before. But yeah, a bit of everything, I would say, in all honesty. Too many games. Wild West Exodus. I don't want to list them off because it makes me a mixture of like happy and sad. Like,
But I don't, there's so much out there that it's quite hard. I think because I played like exactly the same kind of thing as you, about age 8 or 9, 40k, and then fantasy because again I preferred the fantasy setting, and then got back into it as a 20 or so year old. And then when they first released Age of Sigmar, I couldn't stand it, so we dropped it completely. And that was when we started looking into the other, me and my friend Jack, we started looking into other games outside of GW, and it's trying to see the wood for the trees. We played Guild Ball a bit. Never played Malifaux. Interestingly, never played Malifaux because Moonstone for me was the first card-based game I played. And this I just saw today actually on Facebook that it's they've got a release date for 3rd edition Malifaux, haven't they?
They have indeed, yes.
Which I'm quite interested because I'd heard a few. I know this isn't a Malifaux podcast, doesn't really matter, but I know a few people who used to play Malifaux and stopped at 2nd edition because they didn't like the changes. So it'd be interesting to see what happened with 3rd edition.
Yeah, because I think one of the chaps you play, because I do watch a video, I'm not gonna pretend I don't. One of the chaps you play with, I'm sure he used to either have a podcast or do something. He was when he played for Mike. Yeah, Mike used to.
Mike Marshall, yeah.
Yeah, Mike
Yeah.
Marshall used to hang around with my friend Greg. I think I might have met Mike at an event. He probably won't remember. It was like a one-off. I went with my friend Gregory Pishkosh to play Malta 4. But yeah, it is an interesting game.
Yeah, but Mike used to play a lot of Malifaux.
Mm.
He'll have to correct me, but he was one of the ones that stopped at second edition. But he lives just down the road from me, actually. So, but we played Moonstone a couple of times. We also play a bit of another game called Boroughs and Badgers.
Yeah, I've got the figures, and they're really lovely for single piece miniatures. They're absolutely beautiful, and especially for the price, it's fantastic.
Yeah, you can buy some of them are like £3 each, which is just so cheap.
Yeah,
which is astonishing, really. I think being one piece and everything, and the game is really good fun. It's definitely it's kind of a reimagined more time style game. It's very much about the campaign. It's quite good fun. It's probably one of my favourite current skirmish games, apart from Moonstone, I would say at the moment. But anyway, so it's nice to hear what other games you play, because I think it's interesting to hear what people play alongside. I tend to find most people I've talked to play Moonstone do tend to play the smaller games as well. You don't get a lot of people who go, "Oh yeah, I just play 40k and Moonstone." That doesn't really happen.
Yeah, no, I think that
there's people who play Guild Ball and Bushido and things as well. It's people who like the skirmish games as opposed to the big. I do play 40k and Age of Sigmar, but I do prefer the smaller games. So, how did you first get into Moonstone then? With all these other games around.
So it was before I mentioned it earlier. Well, I mentioned it yourself more privately before, but I am, and I don't want to just advertise it, but I'm going to a little bit. I go to a gaming kind of thing called Gotham to Samaria, and Mark Tarville, I think we said his name before. I should really remember people's names better, especially when they're lovely and like really got me into a game. Before we left, one of my friends kind of saw them. The person who runs Gotham to Samaria, Kieran Bradwell, who puts a lot of effort in, basically buys games if he sees them and they even slightly tickle his fancy, they get purchased. So he bought a starter box set and he accidentally bought 2. And he said, if my girlfriend finds out I've bought 2, I'm in a lot of trouble. Who's buying it off me and splitting it? So my friend Darren and I were like, because he bought it on her credit card as well. So
Oh dear.
So we split it, but we didn't. That was just before we left. So when we got there, we were really interested to play with Mark, and just fell in love with it straight away. I like a bit of like sort of deceptive mechanics. I like being able to kind of poker face. I don't have a good poker face. I have a very confusing face, I think, and it makes people sort of look at me like, is he lying? I can never tell. And that's kind of my strength, I think.
Well, definitely. Yeah. Well, if you can pretend to lie and people think you are or aren't, it's a great strength in the game. Yeah. So, go on. Sorry, go on.
So we played our first game at Gotham to Samaria, which will be there. We'll have Moonstone there this year because I'm absolutely obsessed with it. So we played our first game and we played the one where you like wake up. Oh, see, I'm terrible with names, so I do apologise if I get names wrong.
It's called Sleepyheads. We recommend it for demoing because it's quicker.
Yeah, so Mark did Sleepyheads with me, my friend Darren, along with. We played a game of that, and it was straight away. We just were laughing the whole way through. I think Mark was laughing at us as well because we played a few games with him because that's all he did all weekend. Bless him. He did play some other games with some other people, but Mark really did kind of throw himself sort of into it, and people were loving it, and he was as well. So nearly everyone had a game of it. And I just like all the little mechanics, especially with Sleepyheads. There was something fun about, playing it in little different ways, like having people come out the houses behind people. We were doing it like that as well, like just having fun. And it's so nice to have a miniature game that can be multiplayer as well. And it just feels jovial, like it feels fun. Like it's not, I know it sounds daft to say about a miniature game, but like it doesn't have any, I can imagine you could play this competitively, but there is something nice about having a few beers with a miniature game that after you've had like a stressful day, you kind of push around and just end up laughing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that I really love about the game is because I've run 2 tournaments myself. It does work absolutely perfectly well as a competitive game. And I think that we're hoping to see a rise in tournament play to the extent that they'll obviously encourage more people to play. But it is also just really good fun. I think I noticed this because I went to Salute with the guys recently and did loads of demos there. I actually met Mark there, which was really nice because I'd spoken to him a lot online, and he actually gave me. If you've watched the battle reps we've done, you'll notice that our melee deck has got some really cool card sleeves from the Princess Bride, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Can't remember what the film's called. And basically, I got those because Mark put on the players group ages ago that he'd got them, and I was like, oh, they're really cool. I need to get some. He's like, oh, so I got some spare. You can have them. So he just sent me what he had left, which was enough for the melee deck. So that was weird. That was ages. It was a lot like just sort of when the players group was just starting. It was really nice. It was nice to see him at Salute because we'd spoken a lot online over the group and things about the game and stuff. It was nice to see him and actually got to thank him in person. He's a lovely bloke. So I'm not surprised that you sort of enjoyed the game with him.
Yeah. It has been.
One of the things I think that's really attracts people in that sort of friendly side of it. And I imagine from what you said that you've experienced this in the same way, is that because you have to read your opponent so much more than when you're just rolling dice, you almost have to build up a kind of relationship with your opponent in the way you're trying to see how they're bluffing and see what they're doing, as opposed to just rolling dice, because then it's just luck. I think that's a really interestingly sort of different mechanic in the game as well. So do you mainly play it with your friends? Have you played it with sort of strangers as well? Do you notice the difference?
Well, at the moment, I've only played it with friends mainly. I'm hoping with the next Gotham Samaria coming up, I'm going to play against different people. But I quite like, that. That is a very good point. This exclamation of like, you have to interact more. You have to look at someone's face. That whole interaction with like someone else when you're playing a game like that is, it is really much more, and it does make it much more fun when it's not luck. When it's kind of like you've had to make a choice. You know what I mean? Where especially if you've picked like if you've gone for like a guard or a swing. Yes, it is a little bit of luck of the cards you get in your hand, but also like decisions had to be made. So no, I haven't had the chance to play against people who aren't my friends yet, but I really look forward to the day I do get to. I'm hoping that probably they'll read me like a book. It's be my friends who struggle with my madness, where they'll probably think I'm just some buffoon just randomly throwing cards down, which is accurate. But yeah, no.
But then maybe you can trick people into thinking that.
So it's a trick all along. Yeah, I'm actually no, not at all.
It's actually a really clever double bluff.
Yeah, that's what it is. My life is one really clever double bluff. Yeah. No, no, I play goblins for a reason. I like luck and I like randomness, and and I think Shabbaroon with like a fire spitter basically speaks to me.
The fire spitter is a very powerful combination. There's ways to combat it, but it's a powerful combination.
Oh, I mean, we played
when you're facing Shabbaroon and the fire spitter, you have to accept that one of your players is just going to die.
Well, I only got the fire spitter recently. He's my first resin. I don't know if it was always resin. I did not back the Kickstarter. I'm one of those people. I'm a late sort of coming into this. But I don't know. Was he always resin, or have you got a metal? Or
I think he was always resin, because from my understanding of talking to Tom about the models and things, is that the slightly bigger models needed to be cast in. Have always been cast in resin. So Gotchka is resin.
Yes,
Olde is resin. Because when you cast a big model in metal, it shrinks ever so slightly when it cools. So you lose detail, or you lose part. Essentially, you lose some of the design when the metal cools, whereas in resin it doesn't. Now, but it works as a percentage essentially. So on really small models, it doesn't make a difference because it's so small anyway. You don't lose anything because in the metal cooling. But with the bigger models, you did, because it shrinks by a certain ratio or something. He explained it. So all the bigger models have always been resin. I mean, everything is now resin anyway. Everything's
it is. Yes, it is going to be all resin.
And it's a newer resin, and it's really nice. But so, how have you found using the fire spitter? Because I hear mixed things about it on the players group.
I've only used him a little bit so far, but I really enjoy him. I mean, he's if we like so if we get into like the nitty gritty kind of like ideas behind it, I feel like he is our equivalent of Quarrel. I believe Quarrel's a two like a X damage, one X times damage, isn't he? I believe.
He's like X+2, I think. Yeah, he's a lot of damage. He's like X+2.
Where
and he's got this. I haven't got the book in front of me. I should always remember to bring the book in front of me when I do these.
No, don't worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Like we know the cards. We don't need them. Don't worry about it. We're great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need book rules. Blah, awful. No, I really think he's one of those big damage pieces, which is quite nice for the goblins. I feel like the goblins. Maybe I'm wrong, and I don't think I use C62 correctly, to be honest with you. And I'm still kind of getting into the game. In all honesty, it's still something I'm kind of in baby steps with. I've played about like maybe 15 games. So I'm still kind of, which is quite nice to see, because I've quite enjoyed watching yours. Obviously, seeing all the new stuff coming thanks to your channel as well, which is fantastic. And I just feel like goblins are really kind of they lack some of the punch, but that doesn't mean completely. It just means they're not going to stick around. They can kind of go in. If you don't choose the right cards, they will dissipate rapidly. They'll just vanish. But I really like the fire spitter because he gives you that bit of range, and I feel like with Shabaroon, who's such a valuable toolbox, he's fantastic. Yeah. He's also wildly fun. Like he requires an exceptional amount of luck, basically. Like I feel like some days Shabaroon will be a champion, and some days he'll be your worst enemy. But that's kind of like the risk you take. But Goblin Mischief is brilliant. I never mind the teleportation. That's why I quite like C62 with him, because of like constantly giving out extra energy. Normally over what I need, but I just like the point that I have a lot of a thing. So I don't. It's not really strategic.
And also it's kind of energy is one of those things in Moonstone. It's you can't really not have enough, because even if you don't end up using it, you've scared your opponent into responding in that way. So if Seasick is sitting there with 5 or 6 energy on him, he's terrifying. So your opponent's staying away from him, and it's the same with the fire spitter. Even if the fire spitter, I played a game. Actually, it was went up on the channel when we used Boris, and Jack was using a fire spitter, and he didn't really get to do much. He shot a couple of bunnies basically, and that was it. But he's absolutely terrifying. You just don't. What the fire spitter does really well for goblins, which they struggle with some other models, because, like you say, they're not as strong. It's board control. You can sit the fire spitter in the middle of the board, and no one wants to come near him until he's activated, because he's just so scary.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things as well where if you lose him, like, just make sure he goes out with a, like, I mean, obviously, oh God, pardon the punch, make sure he goes out with a bang. Just jam him right in their faces if you really want to. Because if he starts getting a lower life and you're like, right, I can't be bothered to save him, you could be like, right, who am I going to run him into and just let him die? Because I believe he'll still do damage. So you might as well just throw him to the wolves at that point. This is why I quite like him, because when we played, it was mainly when I played him was there. We were having a little fun, like a 3-way game of Sleepyhead with some of my friends after like a day of game, and we wanted to just push some Moonstone around and have a giggle, and show one of my other friends the game, and we just kind of like blew each other up and like jumped around and did loads of silly things, and it's just, I think it's just fantastic fun. He is just like, he controls the board. He has, if you take it, I also like is 2 goblins walk into a bar is. I believe is probably quite an interesting ability, considering he's like an aggressive piece, that he has actually a support option to hand. I mean, yes, it makes goblins easy to hit, but at certain points in the game when you need that 1 extra energy, that's invaluable in a way.
Yeah, and if you're facing against a troop that hasn't got a lot of range, it's not really an issue anyway. So, because there's some troop builds that you'll face against that haven't got a lot of shooting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, completely.
They're really an issue.
The faction I don't play against enough is the fairies at the minute. I want to play against more fairies, even if it's to my detriment. I think that I want to buy a fairy step 1, and I want to play against them more.
Yeah, fairies are the kind of, well, since, because I backed the Kickstarter and it came in two waves. So I got the humans and goblins first,
Mm-hmm.
and then the fairies and the gnomes came. So I played goblins almost entirely to start with, and then I've played fairies pretty much since then, apart from obviously the play testing.
Yes.
Fairies are great. I do love my fairies quite a lot.
I just like the idea of
They're
mixing
one of the
factions.
harder ones. They're one of the harder ones because they
Mm.
have not a lot of health. So if you're not careful, they're gonna drop pretty quickly. With the possible exception of Wasp, because
Yeah.
he's immune to critical hits. So you can't just like one shot him with sort of Fritz in combat, because even if he has 3 falling swings against you, only one of them works. So that can be pretty good.
I have been thinking about mixing some of them together. That is something that's been really sort of rolling around. I'm like, oh well, actually, like I'm just to sort of twist things on the head. I would love to know more about how you run events, because I think that's something that I don't know if you. I don't know if you've covered in one of your shows. If I have, if you have, I haven't heard. So I apologize. So how have they gone? Like, so how have like? If you could you give us a brief like skim over that, or is that too much for now? Or
No, that's fine. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I'm more happy. Yeah, yeah. So I ran two tournaments.
mm-hmm.
Both of them ran before the models were available for retail. So the first one I did last August, and it was quite. I mean, what was really convenient is that Tom actually came up for it from Bristol. So he stayed
Oh,
and we had a game, and then he came to the tournament, which was useful. And one, it was nice for him to come. People were really excited to have the designer there. That was great. He also brought a lot of models with him because most people didn't have the models
yeah, yeah.
because it hadn't been for retail yet. So there's only people who back the Kickstarter or people borrowing my models basically. So a lot of people. I think all of my. Did anyone use the fairies? Because it's mainly newer people, but all my goblins were used, all my humans were used, and Tom shared out his ones as well. It was 6 players in the end, not including me, which was I was kind of sad to start with. I didn't get to play in my own tournament, but at the same time, actually, it worked out as a really good idea because there were quite a lot of new people, so I could flip between tables.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, and that went really well. I think it was only 6. I expected it to be quite small again because the game hadn't been released yet. But everyone really enjoyed it, and it was really friendly kind of atmosphere, which is what I really hoped for. I didn't want it to be sort of horribly competitive. I wanted everyone to enjoy themselves, especially as a lot of people were new. I mean, there were a couple of people that came that hadn't played before. They arrived half an hour before I demoed it to them, and then they played the tournament. But they just really enjoyed it, and the venue was really nice. It's a relatively new games venue in Norwich, near where I live, called the Games Table, and it's really like crisp and new and clean, and it's a really really nice venue, and the owner's lovely bloke as well, so that really helped. And then I've run several demo days there as well, which again have all gone quite well. The most recent one I did, when Moonstone came out for retail, I did kind of a launch. So he was one of the first shops to get it
Mm-hmm.
in the store. So we did kind of a launch day. So I went down for a whole day and demoed, and I was actually quite surprised how many people came because obviously like the tournament stuff sometimes had been a bit of a scrape to try and get enough players, but actually I was demoing solidly all day, which was really good, and quite a few people played. And what was really nice, they played the game with me, and then they went and bought something in the shop. So it was nice that the owner was getting something out of it as well.
Yeah, that's
I
exactly
did
what
do a
it
second,
is.
which is kind of weird because I want him to be able to promote it, but he's only going to promote it if he's going to sell it.
Exactly. So
Um,
yeah, you both like scratch each other's backs. It's yeah.
exactly, yeah, exactly. I did run I ran another tournament in December. Now I'd arranged a tournament, and then my second child was born.
Oh no!
So
Well,
essentially, well,
congratulations!
basically,
But oh dear, yeah.
thank you. Yeah, that was in December. Thank you. Well, he wasn't actually born yet, but my wife had to go to hospital, so
Oh, okay.
um, so I had to look after the other one. So I couldn't actually attend that tournament, but my friend Jack covered for me very well, and that went well as far as I know. It was enjoyable. Other events I'd done, I went to Games Expo with them last year. That was the first time I met Tom and Richie. That was the whole 3 days. That was really good fun.
it was quite tiring because we were just on our feet for 3 days in a row. But that was really good. And then obviously went to Salute this year. That was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
That was really good fun, and I wasn't prepared for how busy we were going to be at all. I don't think Tom and Richie were necessarily either. I think they knew it was going to be busier than the Games Expo, where it was fairly busy. But at Salute, we had 2 tables running. I was demoing pretty much solidly until I had a lunch break, and then there was another bloke called Paul. I can't remember his second name now. Paul Gothard, I think his name is, and Mark came
Hello.
all day, and often it was almost always 2 people we were demoing it to. So it wasn't me playing against someone else. It was 2 or 3 people at a time being demoed to, doing Sleepyhead. So each game was only about half an hour, and we were just absolutely piling it on. But anyway, it got a really good reception. People really liked it. What was really helpful is that Tom had commissioned a new demo board. I don't know if you saw any of the pictures.
Yes, it was. It was very, very handsome.
It's an incredible board, and that actually really helped. People saw it from sort of the other side of the room, and were like, come over just to see the board because it looks so cool from a distance, and then would give them a demo, and then they went and bought something. So it really achieved what it was supposed to achieve, really. But yeah, no, the events have gone really well. I mean, the game, I've not demoed it to someone yet who's not liked it. Everyone who's played the game has really enjoyed it. Not everyone's gone and bought it, which is fine, but everyone's enjoyed it, so they have definitely gone well. And I've got a few more events coming up soon. So there's a local gaming event called Dicini in Norwich on Bank Holiday Monday, which I'm doing that as well. And I'll be arranging a tournament in August again at the same venue.
No Rest for the Wicked.
Hopefully that'll be busier because it's been out of retail and more people. I know more people in the area who have bought into it. So hopefully I could get sort of 10, 12 people, which would be good. But yeah, no, they've gone really well. Sorry, that was just all about me then. But
no, absolutely not, because I am really interested. So when you run a tournament, do you just play the standard kind of Moonstone drop scenario? Just because I imagine when a lot of people out there who hear about tournaments, I'm always thinking of what scenario are we playing? You just do the standard drop and then go from there?
At the moment, I've only ever done the two tournaments. Yeah. So I think 4 tournaments have been done so far, Mooton, and you play the standard scenario. Mm-hmm. The tournament organizer does the drop on every table. So I did the drop on every table.
Perfect.
And both players have a chance to call mulligan, and that worked. There was no issues with it at all. That was absolutely fine because. Yeah, that just did work absolutely fine. And you have a 90, basically you do the Moonstone drop, everyone deploys, then you start a 90-minute clock.
Perfect. Yeah.
And everyone runs on the same clock.
Yeah,
at the tournament that I was actually present at, the first one, not a single game went over time.
I think it would be quite difficult, yeah, especially in skirmish games with because I imagine you're playing 6 models?
You play 5. 5v5 because that's a little bit shorter. Basically, you could probably do 6v6, but then I think you would run the risk of running out of time. Whereas the 5v5, you didn't. I mean, in the official tournament rules, Tom wants to bring in drafting, so you can't have duplicate characters on the board. I obviously didn't play that in the tournaments that I've run because not enough people have got the models, so it'd be harder. I think in the future you could do that, where you bring 10 and you play with 5, and you probably choose either Commonwealth, Dominion, or Les Revolt to play with, and you have to play that faction. I did it. Well, I'd originally planned to do it at the tournament that you could bring 6 models and play with 5, but actually in the end it was just 5 for everyone because that's how the models needed to be shared out. But I think in future tournaments I'll say you can bring 6 or 7 and then play with 5. So you can choose 5. Really so say if you know you're playing against, for example, if I was a human player, knowing I'm going to go up against fairies, I'm probably not going to bother taking Flintlock because he's terrible against fairies. Because he's only ever got 1 card for his gun. Pretty much only got 1 card, so it's pointless. So it gives people that little bit of choice to cater their troops against what they think they might be facing better. But yeah, I hope we just do more tournaments. Certainly, because I want the game to be seen as a possible competitive game as well as an enjoyable game.
Of course, yeah. I think if you get the cover, because that's something we've kind of been discussing as well. We want to cover both bases with any game or any event. It's interesting because one of the things we found, and one of the reasons we started kind of Gotham and stuff like that, was because, like you said, like you had the tournament day, you normally get like a few less people, and I think it's the timid, like, and I don't mean timid nature of game. That's not fair, but in a way, it's true. When someone says tournament, I think it instantly starts putting connotations in people's heads, which absolutely not true. Like if people hear tournament, like I think they should just go along and just plunge in, because trust me, like you said, those two players who that really came, did a demo, and then played. Like that's what tournaments should be about. Like you don't need to be the best player there. It doesn't matter if you lose every game. It's just that you came, and it's just a way to play a lot of games in a short amount of time, and then someone fancily gets to get called the winner. You know what I mean? It's yeah, that's how I always see tournaments. They're just a way to fit a lot of games into a nice space of time, and meet loads of different people and like have some fun. Yeah, you want to win, like everyone does, but it's that whole thing of like, so some people want to win, some people. I mean, I'm not really a winner. I'd rather, I don't care who wins or who loses, but that's like me personally. It's nice to win some games, but yeah, there we go. But I think it's great.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I used to, the only other game I've really done tournaments with is I used to do a lot of Guild Ball tournaments, go to a lot of Guild Ball tournaments. And I enjoyed them a lot at first because they were quite friendly. But actually, unfortunately, I got completely put off the game because I went to a tournament. And
and what was that for?
Guild Ball.
Yeah, Guild Ball's a funny one with that one. I agree, because Guild Ball's got a kind of a really rough learning curve at first. It's one of those games which is really, really. I enjoy Guild Ball still. I think it's one of those games which is. I don't play it competitively. I don't play it a lot, but I still like to play against a few of my friends casually. And I did used to play in tournaments for Guild Ball as well. But I agree, like if you have a few rough fisherman games and someone's very, very, because it is about very controlled movement, so it can be a bit like, well, okay, fair enough. Like, you know what I mean? If you get someone who really wants to win, it can be quite uncomfortable for someone who's just came to push some figures around and have a giggle. So I can understand the problem there. But I will say I do like Guild Ball. It's still it is a good game. I just advise people out there, if you get into Guild Ball, it's kind of like War Machine. I would say be prepared for accurate measurements, and don't be surprised if people like a bit confused if you're not as accurate as they are. So that's like, but I think that's a fair warning. Like if you go into a community, if that's not your cup of tea, then don't go into that community. And I absolutely agree with that. Like because I think they have like a little skirmish version at the moment, which might be a bit more their people's style if you like the figures. But yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I'm not up to date particularly with Guild Ball anymore. I think I got a bit frustrated because they kept changing the cards.
It's very like it's kind of like Warmer Hordes and Sid, like the CID process where they will keep changing the cards, like errating them, altering them. I leave Guild Ball on the shelf of I have a few friends I play it with, and I will gladly give people the game if they like. But I'm not. I enjoy it when I play it, but it doesn't get me excited anymore.
No, I think that's about the same. Not, at least not. I mean, I guess I don't know, but I play so much Moonstone now because I do play testing with the channel and everything, and I helped out quite a lot with the Kickstarter, and Moonstone's become quite a central part of my gaming. That, and maybe in 2 years' time it won't be, and that's fine. But
right now,
other games have kind of fallen to the wayside a little bit. But that's fine. I don't. That's just how it is with gaming.
I absolutely agree. I think that gives you a better because this is one of the things. Like I've played a lot of different games now, and one thing I would say to any gamer out there, you should definitely go play different games. You should go try play. Like there's some games out there that I know that for example, I still play a bit Age of Sigmar or whatever. You're looking at like £25 for like a unit, which is like 1/5 of your army I know in some 40k armies that will be the case. I think there's probably still a box of some sort of marine you can buy, which is like 1,000 points, because it will never change. It will just get fancier gold trimming on it, and then but like if you look at like £21 for 3 models, that's 50% of your over 50% of your force. Like if you get 6 models, if you're playing a 5-model game, then you know what I mean. It's like you've got choices already. So I think Moonstone is like one of those games which has got a really nice buy-in. It's got really fun mechanics. Yeah, it's got a nice. It asks some really good questions of you. It's also the models are beautiful. I would really recommend people have a look and get their hands on the models. They are absolutely fantastic.
The interesting thing for me is that when I backed the original Kickstarter, is I backed it having not looked at the gameplay at all. I backed it purely on the models. I didn't even care what the game was like when I first backed it, and then I started playing the game and realised that's awesome as well.
Was that just Doug? Was it just Doug when you were all there? Was it just like a picture of a goblin and a pug as a knight? And you were like, right, I'm in.
I did like that. I also liked the fairies were what really attracted me most of all to start with. I did like Doug. Doug's been the sort of picture boy of Moonstone for a while.
Yeah.
I think he will be.
Yeah.
But saying that, with some of the new Lesherot characters, I think some of them will become quite.
Boris and
Boris certainly, but having a character called Boris the Bunny Summoner I think he's going to be quite iconic in Moonstone, certainly.
Absolutely.
So actually, moving on from that a little bit, I'm interested to know. We talked a little bit about maybe the answer is just the fire spitter, and that's fine. But who's your favourite character?
Shabaroom. I don't have to think twice. I am. It's a multi-layered thing. One, he's mental. Like the model is based around a crazy goblin covered in like fungus. So if I go for that thematic purpose, I love him. He's the first model I painted, and my models I did put them in the Moonstone Players group. They're very, very like the green is like venomous green. I quite like painting things silly, and I've really had a lot of fun painting these. I like Goblin Luck. I think Goblin Mischief is fun, and I also like Transcombobulate. They're a bit risky, but when they go off, they're fantastic. Don't get me wrong. If anyone hits Shabaroom, he will disappear like so much dust. But I think he's brilliant. Like all the options he brings. He's one of my favorite models. Absolutely. What about you? What is your kind of piece?
Well, my favorite character, I would say, my favorite one pre-Lesh Revolt is Diana, which is a bit tricky because she's not available at the moment. She was only available in the original Kickstarter.
Oh, which one's Diana? That one?
So Diana, Queen of the Fae.
Oh yes! Oh my God, yes. Yeah.
I think you could buy her actually from the web store for a bit. She's not available anymore because she's about to be. Quite soon, she'll be released in a box set with 2 other fairies. Mm-hmm. The reason, and I've said this actually in a previous podcast, I think, and I've definitely said it on channel at some point. One of the reasons she's my favourite is because in that original Kickstarter, as we will have seen on the newer Kickstarter, Leshford one, we got to vote on a character. I don't know who the other ones were. I can't remember now. And I voted for Diana to be made. So the fact that she then won and was made, you had kind of a connection with her. She's also in a similar kind of way to Fire Spitter. Actually, if you play her well, she's absolutely disgusting. But if you play her badly, then she'll die really quickly because she hasn't just like all the fairies. She's only got I think 6 health. She's got slightly less energy than the other fairies. She's only got 4, but her spells are absolutely horrible.
Yeah, she has. That's absolutely right. You're right. I've loaded it up on my computer screen, so I can. So she does have. She has 6 health with 4 energy, and she has some pretty feed on fear and horrific visions. I think are the 2 spells. Yeah.
So feed on fear means she gets to steal energy. I think.
Oh yeah, it is. Target X red or pink. A color that any male with color blindness will struggle with. Target loses X energy. Then distribute that much energy among fairies within 6 inches of the target. Catastrophe. This target suffers 2 wounds. That's pretty good, isn't it? Like stealing energy.
That includes her too. So it's not other fairies. It's fairies.
Oh, you are right. That much energy among fairies. Yeah, not other fairies. Fairies. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's her. I usually use it for her. Steal some energy off them and then blast them with
cost 1 as well. Oh, have you got?
As long as you get 1 back, it doesn't cost you anything. If you get 2 back, you gain 1. I've used her to kill the vicious midget in one go, with horrifying visions before.
Target suffers X+1 damage. Oh.
And it's magical as well, so it gets 2 people's on. What I do with Diana whenever I play Diana is I'll always play her alongside Gotcha because she's a noble. So he's got an ability called Bodyguard, I think it's called, where basically he can take the wounds for a noble for them. So if she ends up being in combat and she gets hit by someone, he takes her wounds for her. So it means basically that she's a lot harder to kill. And
I like that. That is a very good combo, isn't it?
It means you can push her up a bit more and cast those horrible spells without worrying about her getting hit in return. I mean, again, there's counters to that. You kill Kotka first, so you just target him. You fire your crossbow at him instead because he's easier to hit and stuff. But it does mean that she's usually safe for a couple of turns.
Yeah.
And if Diana's been safe for a couple of turns, she's probably hurt you quite a lot in that time as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. That is. Do you know what it is? It's those little things that I've been looking out for. That's kind of been because I know they were saying with the new Kickstarter they're looking more at rather than just been because I think you've even said goblins everyone seems a little bit insular at the moment, but I don't know if that's true. I think some things are, but I believe that they said with the next one we're going to be seeing a bit more reference to like rogue, fairy, or just venturing out into more neutral words. Sorry, like rogue or wizard or so on and so forth.
Yeah,
like pirate.
Yeah. So what almost everyone will have found with the original Kickstarter, essentially, with the four the 2 factions, Commonwealth and Dominion, but with the 4 kind of groups that came out, the humans, gnomes, fairies, and goblins, is generally speaking they all just played well together. So you tended to play humans, you tended to play fairies, or gnomes or goblins, because most of the abilities were friendly goblin or friendly fairy or friendly gnome or friendly human. Whereas firstly with the Kickstarter, so with the Leschevelt coming in, which some of them are first start, some of there's quite a few cross factions. There's ones at Leschevelt and Commonwealth or Leschevelt and Dominion. And you'll also find out, I don't want to say too much about this because I'm not the one who gets to release this stuff, but there's also about 15 other characters at least being released this year. At least 15, if not more than that, 20 maybe. What we'll find with when those ones come out is that human build, that will be completely gone. It'll very much be I'm playing Commonwealth, I'm playing Dominion, or I'm playing National Vault, because the keywords change. So like as you just mentioned, there's ones that play friendly rogue. There's a pirate build which is made up of goblins and humans. There's what Tom calls the pacifist build. So that's a troop of players that actually aren't particularly good in combat, but they have exceptional board control. So they can move the opponent around loads, or they can move themselves around loads. So you go and grab a moonstone and you can push people away from you and things like that. So you don't actually try and kill anyone. You just have ways of stealing moonstones and stealing territory, basically. And that's much more. I think that we've kind of led a bit of a privileged life so far with the first 4 lots that have come out, in that you aren't playing fairies. Well, there's only 6 to choose from, so I'll take those 6, or maybe have Gotcha, or maybe have Olde. But basically, you've had quite an easy choice. Whereas when these new ones start coming out, it's going to make it's a nice choice to have. It's a nice situation to be in. It's going to be a lot harder to pick a kind of a 6 that you just want to play, because there's going to be so much choice.
Because recently I've been looking over the fairy cards, and there is some now. Even now, I can see that so. Here we go. Let's begin the murder of names. Tito,
yeah,
Tito. Obviously, Tito. I imagine she has some abilities which, but like misdirection is good in anyone's list. You know what I mean? Like, it is cost 4, but move target enemy model 3 inches. That's still that's still good no matter who you are, where you're from, sort of thing. So And so so basically, I think the one that people out there is maybe, would you say start buying these fairies? And if you're a goblin player, would that be like?
Yeah, well, there's certainly some fairies that can still play well with goblins, because there's a few, like Wasp won't play particularly well with fairies. Well, I'm not saying with goblins. I mean,
Goblins,
he will
yeah.
because he can play by himself, but he's got an ability called Rage, which benefits other fairies.
Yeah.
So it just means if you're playing with goblins, he can't use that one ability. Same with Diana, because her, she can give energy to other fairies. So she is perfectly good in goblins, but she's not going to be as useful. So the other one that could be useful if you want to have two healers, like Freya, can still be quite useful because her abilities aren't in only. She could still be quite useful. Tito, definitely. Tito is probably the best Moonstone carrier in the game, because of Arcane Reflection and because she has an astonishing amount of energy. The most in the game. She has 6. So even if she's carrying a Moonstone, it can only jog 2. She can still step 6 times and move 8 inches, which no one else who's carrying a Moonstone can do, apart from, the possible exception is Brother Daniel, because he can chuck people around all over the board, but most people can't move that far. Other fairies, Silver Tongues would be good in a goblin build, just because he can just mess up with your opponent so much.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just so horrible because of mind control.
Exactly. I mean, he does have Whisper Secrets, which is specifically fairy. But the way I see it, like, say, for example, you're playing a Goblin Force and you took Silver Tongue and Freya instead of, say, I don't know, like, for my person, I'd probably drop, like, I take Vicious Midget, and, like, I could drop Beaky Bobby because I'm already bringing another healer. So then, all of a sudden, he could use Whispered Secrets if he wants. He could put it on, the healer, or so on and so forth. I think it's because I quite like Doug just to go get Moonstone. Other than that, I feel like that's Doug's life.
Well, Doug, I don't know if you've seen. I don't know if they're up yet, or if we have done a game. I think Doug's being slightly improved, in an FAQ. So I don't know if that's come out yet. I can't remember. I know Tom won't mind me saying because he's already been on one of our battle reports, the improved version. So Doug is being improved because he wasn't really hitty enough. Considering he's supposed to be a knight with a big lance, he couldn't really hurt anyone enough. So his damage output has been improved a bit. It's still in playtesting, obviously, at the moment, but I think it'll probably stay as it is. So he will be able to do a bit more. But what you've got in particular with Doug, and if you have Seasick as well, is that brings in really good board control.
Massive board control.
Because they've both got massive 3-inch melees. So what you can do, they're really good with a fire spitter because you put them sort of in front of the fire spitter, but sort of about 6 or 7 inches apart, and it means that anyone that tries to walk in between them to get to the fire spitter gets stuck in their melee zones.
I think I worked this out because it's 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's like, say, 13. They can nearly fill up for like 14 inches of the board, really, including like base size. That is
because Doug's got 40 mil base as well, so he can fill a bigger base size. So they're really good for board control, and also Seasick, although Seasick's being nerfed a little bit, because we realised his damage output was a bit too good. But he's still going to be plenty good. But he sort of can murder Baron Fancy Hat in one go, and that's not really supposed to happen.
I have no luck in combat. I am the worst. I'm not even gonna lie. Every time I draw cards, I feel like I've got a they won't expect me to pick this card this turn, and my opponent won't even have looked. He will have gone, I'm just gonna play this one, and I've picked the critical success for him. I'm so bad. So I think I've gone for an actually more passive game because I can bluff my magic, but I can't pick a good melee fight.
well, melee is certainly the riskier one to go for anyway, unless you've got a longer melee than them, in which case you're safe. But Arcane is certainly the safer one because if you haven't bluffed, you
exactly, it's going to happen. There's no negative consequence.
Then you could be in trouble. But if you just, because obviously with the Arcane, if you don't get the cards you want, you can just go, actually, I'm not going to play it. and not take the risk. You can be completely risk averse with Arcane and just always tell the truth, and therefore you're always going to be safe. It means you won't get as many abilities off, but you can play it safe. Whereas in Melee, you can play it safe by playing defensive cards all the time and hoping for a counterattack, but that's quite a risky game, because if you just play the defensive card and they play the attacking card that's good against it, you're still going to die. Exactly. So Melee, which kind of makes sense, doesn't it? If you trying to fire a spell off and you're if you're actually a wizard and you realize you're going to fail it and you decide to just stop blowing up, then that's safe. But if you go into combat with something, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Tom is actually a fencer, isn't he? He is actually a bit of a. I think he does fences like a.
He doesn't do fencing. He does actual sword fighting.
Yeah, that's it.
He does. Yeah, we were talking about it before. I can't remember what he calls it. It's essentially medieval sword fighting. He uses proper.
It's the German one, isn't it? Because there's my friend Kieran does it around here. They got talking about it, and he was telling me about it's like a German. Fencing is like just a rough me just going like it's boys playing with swords, but they have a great time. But they're all accurate moves, like they're the correct high guard, and I quite like that element. Like coming from someone who has an enthusiasm for it and putting these in is really interesting.
Yeah, I think you can tell that the melee system has been developed by someone that kind of knows what they're doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I mean, talking to him, there's no such thing as actually a high guard, but that's just a word that he used to make it simpler for people who don't do sword fighting,
like me, who just assumed that probably was a thing.
And like me, it's visual though, isn't it? You can imagine someone putting their
absolutely, the words are very well chosen.
Works well. It's also nice that he didn't just go kind of high guard, middle guard, low guard, or high attack. He's come up, falling swing, sweeping cut, thrust, rising attack. They're kind of they give it a bit more than just low attack, high attack, middle attack, which is just a bit dull. So I'm glad he put, I don't know if they are proper names or not, but put a bit of thought into what to actually call the attacks, because then you can sweeping cut. You can imagine them sweeping their sword across to try and push the blade out of the way, rather than just a middle guard. So I think that was really well done as well.
I think it's
there was one thing I did want to ask. I can't find the questions now. So we've gone through favorite character, and I'm interested because I always like to hear anecdotes of games, and I like to tell my own anecdotes. Maybe it's because I like to tell my own anecdotes of games I've had. But do you have any particular fun or in particular funny anecdotes from things that happened in games?
There's probably been something I've done which is impressively stupid, but I feel like I'm trying to think of when we were because I remember the last time we played, one of the times where I got one of my friends the most agitated, but we kind of started laughing at him quite a lot, was Shabaroon's ability to trigger a catastrophe on someone.
Yeah.
Now we could have been doing this wrong. I have not looked into it further, but Billy, one of his catastrophes is you can't move.
Yeah.
So I just kept him in place with Shabaroon for one game. So my friend was then every time he sees Shabaroon, he hates him. So I was saying we're having that little playful game at a club one night, and when we finished playing, and as soon as I play Shabaroon on the board, he was like, everything just goes right. It's that is like my little anecdote. It's like as soon as he sees Shabaroon, he's like, you. It's like Shabaroon's like screeches and runs. He even ran. What's the big fella called? The drunk one. He ran. To Fritz just straight at him. Fritz saw Shabaroon and was like, "You." It was so they were just playing this game where I'm trying to get Shabaroon away from Fritz, while Fritz is just like, "Come back, you bastard!" And I'm like, "No, leave me alone. I'll make you goat sit still." I was like, it really annoyed him, making the goat sit still. That's one of my favorite things. If I can I feel like that's why I like Shabaroon, because if I can troll people, irritate them a little, and do silly things, I normally do that. That's why I feel like Shabaroon's my spirit animal or spirit guide.
Well, I think you definitely like fairies then, because fairies do a lot of control. I mean, obviously you got the typical silver tongue who can literally control
That is,
which is horrible. But
you know, it's that thing you want to do to other people, but not have done to you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, facing him is quite horrible. Well, the best way to combat Silver Tongue is with Braddock, the gnome, because you can make him forget stuff. So I think it's the last game that me and Jack played. I managed to go first quite often, and I would just move Braddock up and make because it's just it's not an arcane ability, it's an active one, so you can just cast it. And I think 2 or 3 turns in a row, I made him forget mind control. So it's like, oh, I can't use it. But on the flip side of that, I've also played a game against Jack, because Jack tends to be more of a gnome player, and I was just trying out a different build. And I managed to use. I wanted to use Silvertongue to make Quarrel forget his crossbow. No, to make Quarrel fire his crossbow at someone, because it only costs 1. I can make him fire, but I couldn't get in range with him, so I did instead. But I was in range of Braddock, so I made Braddock cast Forgetfulness on Quarrel instead. So he mind controlled Braddock to make Braddock tell Quarrel to forget how to fire his crossbow for a turn.
That's so rude. I like that.
Like, oh, I never saw that coming. It's like, yeah, it's horrible.
Oh my god.
But, yeah, Silvertongue's probably certainly the fairy at the moment who can mess with you the most. There's a new one coming called Belladonna, who's pretty hot.
Because we got a vote on the model, because I did back the recent Kickstarter, and it was like a vote between. It was a different aesthetic, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Gwendolyn.
Oh, was it? Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, that's Gwendolyn, who's she's a fairy priestess as well. The one I'm talking about is called Belladonna. She's wasn't part of the Kickstarter. She's just being released. I don't know when, but this time of this year. She's got she's a rogue as well. So you play her in a rogue build, which is really good. She's got a couple of really cool abilities. One, she can swap places with a rogue within 12 inches. Which is great. If you've gone and grabbed a couple of moonstones with her, she can just leg it behind you then. Swap places with someone really far away. Which has also got her most horrible ability is called Drop a Nightshade. And it's one of those abilities where you can use different colours. So the red, blue, and green all do something. They'll do wounds, they'll do damage, they'll do like remove energy. One of them, I think the pink one means that the person your car, it's only got a 1 inch range, so you have to get into combat with them. But you can make them move 4 inches and then attack someone, which is horrible. But the worst, really, probably the worst one is the catastrophe of Drop of Nightshade is that both Belladonna and the person that she's cast on both die.
What? Oh,
they're both slain immediately. So it's a way of just removing a really key. So it'd be great against Shabaroon, for example.
No, don't do it. I would do that to myself. Yeah.
Loads of movement because she can ignore obstacles. She's got loads of energy. You can just go and sit on it, and of course she's -2 to hit with arcane abilities because she's a fairy. Because they're all to evade.
Yeah,
so she'd be she wants to sacrifice, sacrificial lamb. Just charge her at Shabaroon, try and get Drop of Nightshade off, try and get the catastrophe, and just murder. She'll die as well, but you just kill Shabaroon in one go.
No, never. So everyone out there, never do that to Shabaroon. It's a bad idea.
Yeah.
And then leave Shabaroon alone. He's innocent. He did nothing. He literally everyone I play against now, as soon as they see Shabaroon, it's because they know the things like the silly things he can do. And I think it'll be the same with Silvertongue if you play Silvertongue. Like anyone who has any manipulative, any energy giving, or kind of abilities, like a really good toolbox, especially if they're soft, like they will go for them. But I imagine getting Silvertongue's a lot harder than because Shabaroon, you could probably just shoot him. He's only -1 of 8. But getting someone like Silvertongue with -2.
Yeah, Silvertongue's also got the ability that Fairies got where they ignore obstacles, so he can get behind cover easier. He's got more energy. So yeah, no, I would say Silvertongue's probably harder to get potentially. Of course, probably the best counter to Shabaroon is Brother Daniel. He's got
your fair self in model form.
It is myself in model form. So it's quite fun. But he can teleport someone. So as long as you've given him the extra energy, and there's several ways you can do that with new characters, he could, for example, teleport Baron von Fancy Hat to go and stand next to Shabaroon.
What? No, that's my stick. You can't do that.
Or if he gets close enough, he can teleport Shabaroon to go and sit behind someone else, so he's nowhere near anyone.
Oh,
he's the one he's a good counter to Shabaroon. I think Shabaroon, to some extent, again, actually, Shabaroon's one of those models that's probably led a bit of a charmed life up till now, because it's been hard to counter him, except possibly with fairies, because he can sit behind people and just stand there and be a nuisance. Whereas actually, there's new characters coming that he'll find that harder to do. Because there's characters that can move the enemy around, that can draw them in, for example. Like Agatha's actually quite a good counter to him, because she can do can't remember what the ability is called, but she can draw people towards her.
Is that one of the witches?
No, that's Agatha's one of the humans. She's alongside Fritz.
The barmaiden.
The barmaid, yeah. The barmaid, yeah. In Tumbledown Street, because she can make people come towards her, so she can move Shabaroon towards her all the time. And one of the things as well, sorry to just talk about Shabaroon, but actually I really like him as well. He's one of my favourites. But one of the things you do find with Shabaroon, though, is he often activates quite early, because you want to get Goblin Mischief off and give out some more energy, and that means you need to activate early. So once he's activated, well, he's fine then you can go after him. So you can wait till he's activated and then blast him or something.
He's a very killable. He's a goblin with 6 wounds. With one melee. If you can get him in melee, he's just dead. Yeah. Unless he gets high guard and manages to blip away.
And then he disappears. He's one definitely that if you need to, if you can, is to leave 1 energy on him so that you can draw 2 more cards in melee and hopefully get the high guard.
Because that 1 melee, let me tell you, it's rough when your opponent. I think when I talk about my friend hating him, I think Fritz even intimidated him, so I had to show him the 1 card I had.
Well, the 1 card you had,
yeah. He was just like, get wrecked. I was like, Shabaroon screeches internally. I think there's not one model in this game I don't find interesting, and I think brings something. Even like with if you like, I think Doug's a really good fetcher. Like just the digger ability, because I like trying to get him up the board, just dig as much Moonstone up as I can with him, and then just get him out. Like just get him out of there. Like he served his purpose. He's like my big caddy. So yeah.
Yeah, Doug's definitely a good Moonstoner because of digger. The risk is obviously leaving him exposed, but then that's the good thing with Shabaroon, isn't it? You can transcombobulate him out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and then you've got the hardest wizard in the world, which for the goblins I always think is Grub, who's like a 4 melee wizard with who just goes around starting fights on people.
Yeah, and of course all his damage is magical as well. So even if you're like Band of Fancy Hat, he's quite scary because he gets straight through your armor.
Oh yeah, he doesn't. And with Goblin and with the bug spray against fairies as well.
Yeah,
I think it's quite good against fairies because it ignores evade stats or cover.
Yeah, so it's quite good against them too. Yeah, no, he's pretty cool. He's got a reincarnation of him coming out soon as well, which is quite fun. Because you know his background?
No, not fully. No.
He was. I don't think he used to be a goblin at all. I'll have to check this again now because I don't know exactly.
No, wild speculation. Just do it. Go for it.
Basically, he was a gardener. He was a gardener who wanted to be better at gardening, so he prayed to some gods to make him a better, make him more in tune with nature. So they turned him into a bug.
See, perfect.
Basically, he's actually in lava form at the moment.
Oh my god, I'm so happy.
And that's all I'm going to have to say because I can't say anymore. But basically, he's in lava form. So he's going to undergo some kind of transformation at some point, which is quite cool.
Do you know?
You'll still be able to play Grub, but he'll still get to play Grub. But
yeah, you'll have alternative Grub 2.0.
Yeah.
I have an image though of like A Bug's Life where the caterpillar finally becomes a butterfly, and it's just a caterpillar with tiny wings. It's like, it's just like, finally I'm free. It's just like tiny little butterfly wings, like on this heffalump of a creature.
yeah. I don't know what the artwork is for him actually. I haven't seen it yet, but
that's sure. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed it's just grub with tiny wings.
Fingers crossed it's like a giant grub with tiny wings.
I am sure that it'll be funny.
Oh yeah, I mean every
sure
model so far has been fantastic. I'm so excited for the new stuff, for the cursed, for the witches, for the bunnies. Yeah, it's brill.
So I'm guessing I'm gonna take a wild guess that you backed the Kickstarter.
I did, yes, I did. I only backed, I think it was like 57, 60 quid.
Right.
So I'm getting a couple of starter boxes, and I think it's the one where you get 2 starter boxes and maybe 2 monsters.
And 2 monsters, so you can get Boris and Lubard.
Yeah, Boris. I think I was going to get Boris Bunny, some of Lubard, and then I was tempted. Now this is the question for me. It's the 2 boxes since I've shouldered Modicum of Refrain. Now I'm like regretting it a little because I'm like, do I get? Because I would like to get the Curse because they work with Dominion. I would describe myself as a Dominion player. But then it's like, do I get the Witches or do I get like the one with the Jackalope in to get the Jackalope for Boris? So choices.
Yeah, because you got 4 troop boxes to choose from, and they're all good in their own way. I mean, if you want to play the cross faction stuff, then the Witches aren't the best choice because they're only Leshervold.
They are. But then I thought, give me a choice. I could play a little bit of Leshervold and then have the Curse with the Leshervold and the Curse with the.
I mean, the Cursed work well with the Witches. Both interestingly, both narratively, and actually they work quite well together.
Yeah, I remember I watched the video on that. All the cursed by them. Yeah,
well, also, so each member of the Cursed was cursed by one of the 3 witches.
Yeah.
Interestingly, but yeah, I mean, well, there will be the option to increase your pledge in back kit, I'm sure, if you decide you really can't decide I want to get another one. But it's a hard choice to choose which 2 to take. I'll be honest.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, if you are, I mean, obviously they'll be available for retail at some point, so you can buy them later. But if you are set on playing the Dominion, actually, I think the Cursed would probably play quite well with Goblins.
Yeah,
you got some quite different options there. I mean, the Revenant is good with Goblins because he's literally unkillable.
Which makes a change for the Goblins to have something that doesn't.
Yeah, because he's basically he can't die unless you kill him, unless you yourself choose to kill him. So he can, and although, he's still got Goblins, he needs to be able to be healed. So, he's more playtesting at the moment, but he could be quite good because he's also a very good Moonstone carrier. Once he's got them, it's really hard to get them off him because he can't die.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Give me one of the thiefy people who can like do a pinch or something.
Yeah, there are some characters that can nick Moonstones or make you drop them, but
Butterfingers already existing, like some similar like Butterfingers and stuff like that. But I imagine
there's
on the pipeline.
Yeah, Butterfingers can make you drop them. There's a few new characters that can steal them off you. There's Kaufman, who's the human merchant that can bribe you for them. So there's a few ways of getting Moonstones off the Revenant, but he's also quite good in combat, so he's a bit scary to get too close to.
I'm looking forward to seeing more. I love the pirate goblins, and I'm really excited to see, because if there's pirate humans and they can all run together, that's going to be like having a big pirate squad.
So because all the pirates are Dominion, so the pirate humans are also Dominion. So you can run. And there's lots of abilities within those pirates that are pirate only, so other pirates benefit from it. So you can also stick C6 into that as well. He's already a pirate.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, got a choice of seven pirates, but and there's I don't know if you've seen. There's a battle report that I did with another guy
on the ship.
On the ship, yeah.
Yeah, I quite like that because I think the first thing, if you flip a catastrophe, it does this. I think pretty sure the first thing you did was flip a catastrophe, and everyone was like, off the boat, basically.
Yeah. No, it's quite a fun little snipe, and also it's really, really quick. It's really quick because you start next to each other, and it's even quicker than Sleepyheads because you start so close. And I
like the lobster with what is it called? With it
pinch
and a punch for the first of the month, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then he could steal your Moonstone. He's also quite good in combat anyway. Yeah, the pirates look like quite good fun. There's a whole series of 3 scenarios coming out for the pirates in book 2, and the ship is obviously one of them. But they're very piratey scenarios. Just quite fun.
That'd be so much fun. I can imagine that's like a demo. That'd be such a fun little demo, like to get people on to be like, right, here's us like just messing around on a pirate ship and trying to see how long you can survive before you either get whipped off by
basically that's what it is. In that scenario, every model starts with a moonstone and it's called mutiny, so they're just fighting each other.
Yeah,
it's the goblin pirates versus human. It's basically like last man standing. But funnily enough, I'm fully intending to use it when the models are released, and I've got them to use it for demoing. And I've even to the point where I've asked Mike, who still builds some terrain. He's gonna make me an MDF boat.
So you can have like a little board, perfect for the.
I'm gonna have a boat board just for playing that scenario.
Oh, that'd be so much fun though.
Because I think it'll be really good fun.
Yeah, it'll be brilliant.
Cool.
It'll be absolutely brilliant. I mean, people are interested.
Yeah. I have to wrap this up in a bit, I think.
Yeah, no,
I guess
absolutely.
Just for sort of, because it's been really fun just having a chat. I think I had the last question in my head then, and now it's gone.
Okay.
What do you think? Because obviously you've seen, because if you've watched the battle reports on the Olde Battle Reps channel and on the players group, and part of the Leicester Vault, you'll have seen a lot of the things that are coming. If you could pick one character to have now, ones you've seen, which one would you have?
Oh wow, that is tough. That is really tough because obviously, as like a goblin enthusiast, I would be like, well, probably is one of the sneaky goblin boys from the pirates. But do you know what is one of the models that really took me when you did the battle report with the gnomish airship?
Yeah.
That was spoopy when it came on and just kind of like just pewed everyone off, and I was like, oof, that's a mean one. That's a vicious one. So that is one I'd be super interested in. Also, because I'd love to see the model because it looked like a really nice, pretty piece of art. Who would I want? Yeah. Oh, why am I
you know what? I think I can make the decision for you because there's also a goblin airship coming.
Goblin airship, please. Can I have one goblin airship straight to Newcastle? Just it'll fly itself.
Yeah, it's not the same. Obviously, it's not the same rules as the gnomish one. But
yeah, I like to imagine it's just like kamikaze kind of like it's just like a goblin that drops itself.
It's got slightly shorter range abilities, but it can do it more often. But and I think Tom's already said this somewhere, so I'm fairly confident in saying it now. Obviously, with the gnomish airship, it's quite sort of an ornate, inflated balloon, essentially. The goblin one is an inflated toad.
Oh my god! Yes, of course.
It's going to be literally. They've got a huge toad and they've blown it up.
Oh, see, this is what I mean. I'd love to see
goblin just hanging from it.
Yeah, see, I'm super excited because I saw you've like tried the librarian. This is the problem. It's all so nice. Like I'm going the bad guys, the Commonwealth. Well, because I need to read more of the background and stuff because I see them. They're like the old world basically of Moonstone. And I really like the goblins. I'm very like I don't like playing humans. That sounds really weird. I've never been. If you give me a game, I always want to play the creepiest, ugliest, most horrific things in it. Like when I played Mythos, I got the bugs. When I play Aiden, I got the aliens. When I play anything, I always get the monsters. Like Dark Age, I went straight to the Brood. So Malifaux, zombie people, like I'm all about that. So as soon as I saw Commonwealth were not the humans and they were the fairies and all these bright colours as well, they've always drawn me in. But there's so much good stuff for all the other factions. I can see, like, even as someone who doesn't normally like to play humans, there's so many fun mechanics in there that it is tempting even for someone like me who, because I like the idea of Kaufman. I love a fat, like, sort of money lender character that makes me really happy.
There's some. I think that's the thing because I'm actually with you on that. I don't normally play humans either. I completely agree. I prefer the goblins or like the fairies in this example. I've always played like in Warhammer. I played demons, So I'm completely with you on the. Although I do like the Moonstone humans, I do, but I definitely chose the goblins. But actually, with the new stuff that's coming, the humans are also just so interesting. Like the librarian, who just can just control the board really well. And there's another one I really like called Natty the Slum Thief, who's just this tiny little girl who is actually who was in the last Battle of Port but didn't do as much as I would hope. But well, actually, she did. She carried 2 Moonstones for the entire game, so that's kind of what the point was. But she's got some really cool little abilities as well. And there's Gertrude the Fairy Hunter, who's just sort of flamboyant.
That one gave me a little bit of I was thinking for fairies. I guess he's very good against fairies, or she is.
She's very good against fairies because she has an ability, I can't remember what it's called now, which is like a pulse ability that every model caught in the ability that currently has energy over, I think, 3, they suffer a wound for every energy to have over 3. So against fairies, if you can hit like 3 fairies with that, they're all suffering like 2 or 3 wounds, which is just horrific. And then there's quite a few other humans coming. There's also, as you just said with the pirate, there's Dominion humans coming, as well as the current Commonwealth humans. So that's going to be quite interesting. They're one of the few races that are going to be in both. There's not many other ones. Goblins are all Dominion, and fairies are all Dominion, apart from one that's less revolt. But and gnomes, I think, are all Commonwealth, apart from this one that's going to be less revolt.
Is there a goblin less revolt?
Yeah, Caverna the Jongler is that's gnome.
Yeah.
So Caverna the Jongler is a gnome less revolt, but he's not Commonwealth as well. There's no goblin less revolt. Goblins are only Dominion.
Yeah, because they're filthy little troublemakers.
Although interestingly, Dominion isn't necessarily like evil at all.
Yeah, it's that classic thing of like I think he was talking about it. Like it's just
yeah.
2 different.
I mean, the goblins. Yeah, the goblins are actually fairly evil, but the fairies aren't at all. They're very spiteful, but they're not evil. Not in the typical sense of it anyway.
Oh, I see evil as just like every there's no such thing as evil. It's just different colors of grey, isn't it? Like goblins are harmless, friendly boys. They just like to
stab you in the back if you're not looking.
Yeah, exactly. It's your fault. You looked away. You mean you invited that upon yourself? Like if you wanted it, you would have kept hold of it tighter.
Yeah, and exactly the same way that if Silvertongue has mind controlled you into attacking your friend, just don't stand so close to your friends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I love that idea that Silvertongue's like, it's like some goblin shanking some other one. He's making me do it, and it's like Silvertongue's like, I haven't done anything. They just kill each other wildly. No, it's a really one thing I will say. It's a really fantastic game, and I cannot wait to see the future stuff. I have applied to be a goblin. It's weird saying I've applied to be a goblin. So because like you don't normally say I want to be a goblin, but I really want to start like really pushing the game in my local area. But it's one of those ones that I thoroughly enjoy every time I play.
Oh, cool! It'd be really nice to have you along in the Goblin crew. You get
fingers crossed. Yeah, I'll see what happens because I know they've been super busy. Surprise, right now.
Yeah, recently he's been really busy with the Kickstarter.
Of course,
been a bit mad, so you might have a bit of a wait. But I'm seeing Tom and Richie next week, so maybe I'll try and give them a prod and say, let Russell be a goblin.
Let him cause trouble up north. Yeah. No, because you should definitely have a look if you ever get the chance. I'll invite you out. And anyone out there, if you're interested in it's not a competitive thing. Gotham to Samaria. It happens at the Northwest Wargaming Centre, basically Element. I think most people will know it as Element Game, sort of gaming area. Like, please come along. I think it's £12 for the 3 days that we're open. Or you can pay a little bit extra and get food. We try not to run it at any cost at all. Like there's some stuff we obviously produce T-shirts and like stuff like that. So, but normally you pretty much just paying the price of what it costs us to rent it for the 3 days per person. So, we wanted it to be cheap. We wanted it to be cheap and affordable and for everyone. And you don't. It's not a tournament. You just come along if you want to play a game. Just say it, and one of us will make the time for you. It sounds like it's just an excuse for all of us to come together, have a little drink, chill out, have a laugh, and just play games like this. And yeah, you can learn them and pass them on. And I know we've got some people, I don't want to say names, but some people who have like a parts behind game and things might be there. So, but they're not there to advertise their games. They're coming as players, and that's the best thing about it in my mind, that we've got people who are, you know what I mean? We're going to advertise their games. They're there to chill. We're there to advertise for them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm super excited. Super excited, man.
Yeah, should be good. That sounds like fun. I have seen it advertised before.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to get to things, to be honest with you.
Oh no, you've got little ones. You've got babinos. So
I've got a 2-year-old and a 5-month-old. But
sorry, I just got nervous sweats when you said it. Like,
yeah.
But no, bless you.
It doesn't mean I can't get to things. My wife is pretty understanding. I do get to go to things,
yeah.
but obviously I don't want to.
You've got family, yeah, obviously, absolutely. No, I completely understand. That's never that's the thing. We do it 3 times a year though, so we can't make it a 1. That's the whole point of us doing it 3 times a year. So never feel bad if you can't come to all of it. I have a girlfriend and that's about it. We don't even have animals. We're just so it's just me and my partner, you know. So we've got bundles of free time. So no one should ever feel bad if they can't make it to them all. That's why we exist, so that you guys can come when you can. So it's really appreciated. Thanks for having us on again, Dan. It's been nice talking to you, just talking Moonstone, really.
Yeah, it's been great fun. It's been really nice. And like I said, you're the first person that I've interviewed that's not been someone I know. So it's been a good start. You've been a very nice first guest to have on.
Oh, isn't that? That's because I'm lovely. That's why. So you get to know me, and you'll be like, no, he's never coming back on again. He's awful and foul. So, but yeah, if you ever come along, I'll get you a drink, and we'll have a giggle, and it'll be fun.
Cool. That sounds really good.
It will be really fun.
Well, I'll stop the recording.
Yeah, go for it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, and there we go. I hope you enjoyed listening. Like I said at the beginning, it was really fun having Russell on and just having a chat. And hopefully I'll get him on again in future. Thank you very much for listening.